Welcome everybody to the Apocalypse. I am Gary Machida. Yes, it's another chill stream. It's great to be with you today. Yeah, we're early. We are definitely early. And reason for that is because I have come down with a cold and not feeling great. I've been sleeping all day. My back's been hurting. I was up at 1. I figured, you know what, we'll do a chill stream. I'll do a little early so maybe I can get some sleep afterwards. So hopefully I don't sound too stuffed up, and you'll have to forgive me as I occasionally wipe my nose. But it's just one of those things, guys. Oh, cool. Well, I'm glad that you guys were able to do it. Yeah. Gary, my man, how you feeling, brother? Um, well, William, I am still feel under the weather, but I'm tired of laying in bed, and I really needed to sit up for a while. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to give a chill stream a try because I'm really excited, guys, because we are going, God willing, we'll finish Ephesians and Colossians, which opens the door for Hebrews, which will be really cool. Um, some really big things in Hebrews. So I wanted to definitely get this out, knock it out, and let's see here. I have an audience pray for. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you for your prayers. I just couldn't, yeah, thrilled and pumped. Couldn't stay away. But that's because this is really cool material. So um, I had to wake up for my afternoon nap. I'm sorry about that. Hope you feel better. Yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, it's been one of those crazy things, just one thing after another. By the way, update on my wife. My wife is doing excellent. And yeah, I think I just wore myself down and caught something. So um, so I'm definitely catching up on sleep. That's for sure. Knock it out, Gary. Thank you, SoCal. Appreciate it. Uh, yeah, Hollywood Big Boss. William, if you want to come up, I could give you the link. But I have a feeling you're probably heading to bed. It's probably pretty late for you in deep South Texas. But anyway, we got a great couple of things we're going to address today. And that is we're going to talk about the armor of God in Ephesians 6 and also Colossians 1:15, which is a perfect prelude to the Epistle of Hebrews. So that's going to be a ton of fun, guys. And we're going to have a lot of fun. So you can help me out, guys, if you could. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I appreciate it. It helps get this information out. And yeah, as you can tell, I'm thrilled and pumped. So I'm here at 2:30 in the morning laying down this information. So I hope you're thrilled and pumped as well. I try to think anything else. Had a lot of fun in Steubenville. Was at the Applied Biblical Studies Conference. Excuse me. Um, and great talks. It was on the Gospel of John, which is very, very interesting stuff. And if you ever get a chance to go to one of those summer conferences in Steubenville, either Defending the Faith or Applied Biblical Studies, I highly recommend it. Just really good people, good material. If you want to dive deep in Scripture and rub elbows with people that are in trenches, it's great, and I highly, highly recommend it. So yeah, yes, comment and favorite the stream too for the algorithm. That's right. We want to get this algorithm up because this is really cool info that a lot of people don't know about. So I think I covered everything. Thank you for being so kind. I hopefully with the my head cold and everything, I'll be able to get through this and be coherent, at least partly coherent. We're going to dive into the Ephesians 6:13 through 17. and its possible background with Wisdom 5:18. Um, this is something that's been recognized in the scholarship, but a lot of people aren't familiar with it, so I thought this would be great. And as you know, we've been going through all sorts of points of contact in the New Testament with the Deuterocanon, and they vary. Like some are very important, some are not so important. Some show forth the sacredness, the authority of the Deuterocanon, others don't. But I think doing this giant overview that we've been doing on show streams is really great because it gives you a bird's eye view of all the major points of contact, at least the ones that I find interesting. But there is actually a lot more. And let's see. There's several books out there if you're interested in looking up all the different points of contact. Probably, I know Selkel would back me up on this. Dubney's book, The Use of the Apocrypha in the Christian Church, does a pretty good overview of the big points of contact in the New Testament. And McDonald's books and others as well. But this is one of those passages that show up everywhere and for good reason. So what is it? Well, it's the famous armor of God passage in Ephesians. So let's go through the text, shall we? Therefore, put on the armor of God that you may be able to resist on the evil day, and having done everything to hold your ground. So stand fast with your loins girded in truth, clothed with righteousness as your breastplate, your feet shod in readiness for the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, hold faith as a shield, and quench all the flaming arrows of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. So this is the text we're going to be focusing on. Yeah, actually, yeah, I totally agree with that. Yes, absolutely. So there are a couple of possible background source texts for this. One is Isaiah 59, 15 through 18. And you'll see why. It reads, quote, honesty is lacking, and the man who turns from evil is despoiled. The Lord saw this and was grieved that right did not exist. He saw that there was no one and was appalled that there was none to intervene. So his own arm brought about the victory, and his justice lent him its support. He put on justice as a breastplate, salvation as a helmet on his head. He clothed himself with garments of vengeance, wrapped himself in a mantle of zeal. He repays his enemies their deserts and requites the foes with wrath. And already, you can already see a couple of points of contact here, right? With Ephesians 6. Another possible background text is Isaiah 11, 4 through 5. And Isaiah 11, 4 through 5 just has a little bit of contact with Paul, but not close enough to really garner a lot of attention. But we shall judge the poor with justice and decide aright for the lands afflicted. He shall strike the ruthless with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. Justice shall be the band around his waist, and faithfulness a belt upon his hips. So you have armor imagery, right? But not very good contact with Ephesians, in my humble opinion. And then the final text is Wisdom 5. And this is 15 through 20. Sorry about the reference there. But the just live forever, and in the Lord is their recompense, and the thought of them is with the Most High. Therefore shall they receive a splendid crown, a beatific diadem from the hand of the Lord. For he shall shelter them with his right hand and protect them with his arm. He shall take zeal for armor, and he shall arm creation to requite the enemy. He shall don justice as a breastplate. He shall wear sure judgment for a helmet. He shall take invincible rectitude as a shield, and whet his sudden anger for a sword. And the universe shall war with him against the foolhardy. So again, we see all sorts of armor imagery, right? Okay, let's break this down. Where are the points of contact? Where are the alignments and so on? So I made this slide for you guys. Excuse me. I highlighted these in different colors, and you can see here, armor of God actually is used twice in 11 and 13. Righteousness as a breastplate. You have reference to a shield, helmet of salvation, and a sword. And notice, interesting enough, the middle column, it just has two pieces of contact. Justice as a breastplate and salvation as a helmet on the head. That's Isaiah 59. And of course, the far right column is wisdom, wisdom 5. So you have armor, breastplate, shield, helmet, and sword. So let's break this down. We'll go step by step and break it all down, okay? First, both Ephesians 6 and Wisdom 6 uses the armor, speaks of it as the armor of God, okay, or armor. And they both use the same Greek word, panoplion, or panoplion, for armor. Now, this is an interesting point of contact because it's there in Wisdom, it's there in Paul, but it's nowhere to be found in Isaiah 59. Okay. Next point of contact is righteousness as a breastplate. And here, as you can see, all three of them have contact. In fact, they're the same Greek words. Righteousness breastplate, Ephesians 6, Wisdom 6, and Isaiah 59. So very strong points of contact there. Same words in Greek. Now, Ephesians 6:16 says, in all circumstances, hold faith as a shield. Now, Isaiah 59 doesn't mention a shield, but Wisdom 6 does. However, it's not the same Greek word, okay, as you can tell. So if they're the same word, I have them in the same color. If they're different words, I have them in different colors, okay? Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. And reason belief, yes. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, a bit under the weather, but I'm just tired of resting. So I had to get up and do a chill stream for you guys. Another point of contact is helmet. Now, helmet is mentioned in all three passages. However, there's a close alignment with Ephesians 6 and Isaiah 59. As you can see, both of them speak of the helmet of salvation. Well, where in Wisdom 6, it's sure judgment as a helmet. So it's not quite as aligned, but it does have the same points of contact. Then finally, Ephesians and Wisdom reference the sword. And interesting enough, these are different Greek words, so hence one's yellow and one's blue. Interesting enough, the Septuagint, the Wisdom 6, actually has the word for long sword. It's a different kind of sword, but it is a sword. Okay? So you see all these different points of contact between, oops, let me go back. All these different points of contact with both Isaiah and with Wisdom. So what do we make of this? I would say that Paul is probably using both, right? In the comment or the description for this video, I basically said, armor of God, Isaiah, wisdom, or both. I would say both. And I'd be interested to see what you think. So leave your opinion in the comments. I think there very clearly he's using Isaiah because, I mean, there's perfect alignment as far as the words are concerned. But it's also really clear he's using wisdom as well. Wisdom actually fills out more of the different kinds of armor one puts on. And even more importantly, it uses Panoplian for the description of the armor of God. So I would say both. And this, I believe, is very interesting because he's using a proto-canonical text and a deuterocanonical text together without any discrimination between the two. So what does that say about the deuterocanonical text, right? If you can use Isaiah and meld Isaiah with wisdom to come up with Ephesians 6, that suggests to me that Paul believed that these two texts are actually sacred texts. They're on par with one another. They're giving revelation, in other words. So, so I think there is some probative weight to this if our analysis holds out. And like I said, I'd love to hear what you guys think. But that's how I take it. I would say, yeah, this actually does show that Paul understood wisdom and Isaiah's sacred text and revelatory. Now, again, we're going to go to the commentaries. Now, this actually isn't a commentary. It's the introduction to Apocrypha by Bruce M. Metzger. And he points this out. This is one of the few texts that he highlights as being significant. It says, passages in several New Testament letters likewise reveal parallels with expressions in the wisdom of Solomon. Noteworthy in this respect is Ephesians 6:11 and 2 Corinthians 5:1-9, which we talked about last chill stream. In the former passage, the apostle speaks of the whole armor of God, which is not, as it is often represented, merely armor which God supplies, but the armor which God himself wears, God's panoply. So that's important, right? It's a description of the armor that God wears. And then it says, doubtless the germ of the idea is to be found in Isaiah 59:17, that it quotes that. But the Greek word panoply, which the author of Ephesians uses, as well as the fuller details in his elaboration of imagery, probably came to the apostle from the Book of Wisdom. So I think Metzger pretty much says the same thing we said, right? That Ephesians 6, the armor of God, is drawing from Isaiah and the Book of Wisdom. And I don't know how you can not, how you can deny that. So as we do here in our chill streams, we'll go through some more commentaries. Excuse me. Breastplate, helmet. Compare Ephesians 6:14. Figures of Acts is not original to Paul. I'm not sure where that comment come from, by the way. This is Vincent's word study. But notice C, Isaiah 59:17 and Wisdom 5:18-19. So he sees that contact there. Word studies in the New Testament. This is ancient text in the New Testament. I'm sorry, I have the wrong title there. This is actually ancient text for the New Testament studies. As you can see here, connects Ephesians 6 with Isaiah 59 and wisdom. Strack and Billerbeck basically just quote Wisdom 5:17-20 for this section. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Strack and Billerbeck, this is a very important commentary where it basically flushes out ideas in the New Testament with sections from the Talmud and Midrash and also the Deuterocanon. So it's a helpful book, but they see the connection here. And then, of course, Soquel Preston and myself love this particular book, The Use of the Apocrypha in the Christian Church by Dubney. He also makes this connection, and with Wisdom 5:18. So as you can see, this is recognized in the scholarship that both these texts are being used by Paul. Of course, they don't draw the same conclusions we do because they're not trying to determine whether the Deuterocanon is authoritative or not. They just recognize it's being used. Now, as we do in the chill streams, guys, we're going to go to the cross references. As we do, we go through old Protestant Bibles way back when they had the Apocrypha in it. And when they had the Apocrypha, they also had cross references to alert Protestant readers of where Old Testament texts figure in. And so we have the Coverdale Bible, 1535. And as you can see here, Ephesians 6 points back to wisdom. Then you have the Taberner's Bible, 1551, from wisdom to Ephesians 6. The Paragraph Bible, 1873, has a reciprocal cross reference from wisdom to Ephesians and Ephesians to wisdom. All right, hey, appreciate that. Terror of Demons. And so there you go. Nice and tidy. So you can see I'm not reading in my Catholic bias. I'm not trying to say something that isn't recognized by people that don't believe the Deuterocanons inspire Scripture. They do. And I think it's very important. So before we move on to the next bit of business, sorry about that. All right. I just want to remind you guys, please subscribe, like, hit the bell. Also, if you want to support our ministry, memberships. We have memberships available. We're putting out lots of new material. Unfortunately, since I've been under the weather, first my wife's surgery, now this, it's been tough to get the material out, but I promise you I will. So thank you so much for you guys who are members. Appreciate your financial support. Also, William Albrecht and myself are on Patreon. We also appreciate your support there. Okay, yeah, Cameo Edition also has Ephesians 4. Okay, yeah, very good. Interesting. Yeah. Kel, I need to probably pay more attention to the Office of Readings in the King James Bible. A lot of people don't know that, but the King James Bible also had a table of readings, and the readings that were done in church included readings from the Deuterocanon, like Soquel just pointed out. Maybe I'll do a video on it. That'd be kind of fun. Okay, so let's go to our second passage for today. And I think this is a great lead up to Hebrews, and that is Colossians. Colossians 2:3, and its connection with Wisdom 7:26. All right. Man, we're just rifling through this stuff. So what is Colossians 2:3? Well, you'll know as soon as I read it. Very famous passage. Colossians 2:15 says, He, that's Jesus, is the image of the invisible God. And you also have in Wisdom 7:26 that God's wisdom is the image of his goodness. And then there's a third passage that we're going to introduce here, and that is Hebrews 1:3. It's He is the refulgence of his glory, the very imprint of his being. Now, as you can tell here with lexical connections, both Wisdom 7:26 and Colossians 2:15 use the word icon or icon or image to describe Christ and describe God's wisdom. Okay. The difference is that in Colossians, he is the image of the invisible God, where in wisdom is the image of his goodness, which is very interesting stuff. So in Hebrews 1:3, as you can tell, it has a similar idea, but the language doesn't align with either of these texts. So very straightforward, guys. Very straightforward. So let's go to the commentaries. The New International Greek Testament commentary by Dunn says, more to the point, here's the importance in Hellenistic Judaism of the thought of divine wisdom as the image of God, particularly Wisdom 7:26. And then he also cites several works from Philo. Continuing on, he says, the invisible God makes himself visible in and through his wisdom. And it quotes this French commentary on wisdom. The importance of this in Hellenistic Judaism was that image, quote unquote, could thus bridge the otherwise unbridgeable gulf between the invisible world and God on one side and the visible creation and humanity on the other, denoting both that which produces the divine image and the image thus produced. So this is interesting that, Dunn notes that this idea of image in Hellenistic Judaism is where God manifests himself through his wisdom. And specifically points to Wisdom 7:26, which is an incredibly important passage, which the next chill stream we are going to dive into the depths on. Now, this commentary, I'm not going to read all this. It just talks about the substantiality of the exact image. But notice the highlighted area. Compare Wisdom 7:26. Erdman's commentary on the Bible. It says, Christ is described as the image of the invisible God. Similar language is found in Jewish wisdom literature, where wisdom is said to be the image of God and the agent of creation. Now, notice it adds agent of creation, so you actually have a lot more text than would just be 7:26. So you have Proverbs 8, Proverbs 3:19, you have Wisdom 7:22 through 27, and 8:5 through 6. It is identified with the Word of God or Torah, Sirach 24, Wisdom 9:1-2. Philo 2 speaks of wisdom and God's Word as beginning and image. So there you go. So another point of contact with Wisdom 7:26. And notice it's saying that Paul's drawing these ideas from this literature. The Paideia Commentaries on the New Testament says, quote, the first strophe, verses 15 through 16, A in the pattern, focuses on creation. The language echoes that used by wisdom or the Logos word in Hellenistic Judaism. Then it continues, this in no way implies that there is a unified myth of wisdom standing behind the hymn. The beloved Son is introduced as the image of the invisible God. Now notice, in Wisdom 7:26, wisdom is, quote, a reflection of the eternal light, the spotless mirror, the working of God, and an image of his goodness. And then they quote a whole bunch of things from Philo. The reference to Adam is ruled out here since Adam is not directly called image, icon, but is rather said to be according to the image. And so basically he's ruling out possibility of the image of the invisible God being referred to Adam. But nevertheless, again, you have that point of contact with Wisdom 7:26. Now, let's go to the cross references as we do in these chill streams. The Blaney edition of King James Bible 1769, as you can tell here, has a cross reference from Wisdom 7:26 to Colossians 1:15. Okay. Now I want to show you this. This is kind of interesting. Like if you weren't following the cross references in these Bibles, you would miss something. What do I mean? Well, let's take the Coverdale Bible 1535. Wisdom 7 has a reference not to Colossians, but to Hebrews 1:3, as you can tell here. And then when you go to Colossians 1:15, it has cross references to Hebrews 1:3. Okay. But when you go to Hebrews 1:3, you have a cross reference to Wisdom 7. Interesting enough. So you never get the idea that wisdom stands behind Colossians unless you're following all these cross references, and you can see they all harken to Hebrews 1:3, and then you flip to Hebrews 1:3 and you find out, oh, this is actually using Wisdom 7. Isn't that interesting? I wonder why they do that. Okay. In Jug's Tyndale Bible, 1552, as you can see here, Hebrews 1 has Wisdom 7, and Colossians has Hebrews 1. So again, you have this kind of jumping around in the text, right? Colossians isn't directly linked to wisdom, but it is indirectly linked to wisdom through Hebrews 1:3. And guess what we're going to do in the next chill stream? We're going to talk about Hebrews 1:3. Bishop's Bible, 1568. Hebrews 1, as you can see, points to Wisdom 7. Colossians points to Hebrews. So again, if you weren't following these cross references, guys, you wouldn't notice that Colossians actually is linked with wisdom. You think it's just linked with Hebrews. Again, here we have Spanish Bible 1569. We have Hebrews 1:3 with cross references both to Wisdom 7:26 and Colossians 14:15. And then when you go to Colossians, you only have a cross reference to Hebrews 1:3. And if you go to Wisdom, you have cross reference to Hebrews 1:3. So again, if you're following the cross references from the Deuterocanon or the Apocrypha through to Hebrews 1:3, you would not connect Wisdom 7 with Colossians until you actually read the cross references for Hebrews 1:3. Interesting enough. Very strange. Geneva Bible 1583. We have Wisdom 7:26 to Hebrews 1:3. You have Colossians 1:15, Hebrews 1:3, and Hebrews 1:3. You have both Wisdom 7 and Colossians 1:15. So I'm curious what you guys would make of that. It's like, why do they do that? I have no idea. Then we have the King James Bible, 1611. We have Wisdom 7:26 to Hebrews 1:3, and there's no cross-reference in Colossians 1:15. Excuse me. But we do have Hebrews 1:3 pointing to both Wisdom 7 and Colossians 1. So there you go. The Blaney Bible edition, Blaney edition of King James Bible, 1769. We have Wisdom 7:26, Hebrews 1:3, and Colossians 1:15. So you have that dual one right there. When you go to Colossians 1:15, it only has Hebrews 1:3. And when you go to Hebrews 1:3, that's when you find out Wisdom 7:26 is involved. So it's kind of like piecing together a jigsaw puzzle with these cross references. Very strange. But it's only if you go through these different pieces of the jigsaw puzzle that you're able to connect all the dots and find out, hey, Colossians 1:15 actually is linked to Wisdom 7:26. But if you don't do that, you'll never know the connection. So interesting stuff. All right, guys, we're going to open up to questions. If anybody has any questions or comments, love to hear from you. By the way, as you guys are typing feverishly in the comments section, I want to please remind you to please like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff. You never know when a chill stream is going to pop out at you. I try to do these chill streams every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But you never know. Like today, I was feeling under the weather, and I thought, you know what, I could do a little earlier and maybe knock one out just because I can't wait to get to Hebrews. And in fact, that's what the next chill stream is going to be about. It's going to be Hebrews 1:3, which I think is a very important piece of evidence for the Deuterocanon. So we're going to tear that apart. There's tons of info on it, and I think it's pretty revealing too about Wisdom 7:26. And guess what? We already did the heavy lifting today. We've looked at most of these cross references and so on. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Also, we try to do team streams here on the Apocrypha Apocalypse with William Albrecht and David Zavaris. It's been kind of crazy with me, just because I was under the weather Monday. I just couldn't pull off a team stream. And I wasn't sure whether David was even available. I didn't even get a chance to text him. So will we do a team stream tomorrow at 2 p.m.? The only way you'll know is to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because hopefully, God willing, you'll get a notification. And if we do a team stream. Okay, so let's see. What's this? Did you know that there's a fake Dewey Reams out there that has removed the Deuterocanon? Claimed to be an update of this 1582-1609 version. Very anti-Catholic commentary too. You know, the funny thing is, Hollywood Big Boss, I actually know what you're talking about. I did run into that because I was trying to find the original Dewey Reams for cross references because I thought it'd be kind of cool to see if they have cross references and what cross references they saw. And then I ran across this fake version, and it was like, what in the world is this? So, yep, you're absolutely right. Yep, it's out there. So be warned, folks. Not everything on the web is solid. I know that's a shock, but there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. So thank you for the warning, Hollywood Big Boss. I appreciate that. You are the man. You're part of the regular posse that's here for the chill streams. So anyway, last call for questions, guys, before we go. Like I said, I'm kind of like half wattage today, intellectually speaking, just because of head cold. I'm fighting. So, but I'll be glad to try to answer your questions if you have any. James says hello. Hello, everybody. And no, you guys are pretty quiet today. Personally, I thought this was kind of cool. Being yeah, well, that's not good. Yes, you need to say some prayers. Say some prayers. Well, I appreciate that, but it's not pester. Actually, this is something I look forward to. That's why I just couldn't stay. I couldn't stay away from a chill stream. Apocrypha Apocalypse, you can find the 1610 on archive. Okay. But correct me if I'm wrong, SoCal, but I don't think there's cross references in there, is there? That's a really good question. Yeah, I don't know. But that's good to know. Archive's got everything on there. That's why I think this whole idea of the Old Testament Protestant canon is going to explode because there's so much information that's out there at your fingertips. You just need to. Okay. Yep, they are. Awesome. That's good to know. Parts 2 and 3. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that, James. It's been crazy here, and that's no excuse. But yes, I will get the. I'll try to do that as soon as I possibly can. It's packed with cross references and notes. Awesome. Hopefully the font's decent. A lot of old Bibles, the font's terrible. Remember when I brought up the weird apocryphal book? They labeled 34th Maccabees pseudepigrapha, not apocrypha. It was in the 1958 opening commentary. Interesting. Probably the best era. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you have everything at your fingertips, and you could do research in a blink of an eye if you just are willing to Google, right, or check out archive. Uh, I wish that we had this facility back when I was writing my books, because it would have probably been better books, and I would have found a lot more resources. Instead, I had to run down to seminary libraries and photocopy books and do all sorts of stuff, and to double check and make sure everything is solid. And that takes a lot of time, and you can miss things very easily. Now it's just copy and paste. You Google it, you check out our archive, and the one between William and Father Ramsey. Did you see the debate? Was this recent? I didn't see the debate. William's always debating. It's hard for me to keep up with all his debates. It seems like every weekend he's debating somebody. He's having a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So there you go, guys. You got some tips now for the Douay-Rheims. It's available on archive. By the way, all these cross references, you just go to Bibles-online-net, and you could check out these early Protestant Bibles. It's a nice array. Let's see here. Gary, have you thought about making a Google Drive or Dropbox link for YouTube members to access files? No, I haven't. Huh. That's an interesting thought. I never thought to do that. Yeah, but that's a great idea. It was on orthodoxy and councils. Oh, cool. How do you think, how did William do? Or how did you score the debate? Let me put it that way. For those who saw the debate. Well, I appreciate that reason belief. I'm so disorganized. It is an unofficial debate, okay. What's this? I'm clicking everything now. Okay. Apocryphal Apocalypse, Haydock's Bible is a really good one too. Yeah, Haydock's pretty good. I agree. Oh, yeah, I didn't know about the debate either till now. It was great. William pointed out inconsistencies of Orthodox councils. Okay. Yeah, he's pretty good. I don't know how William could do it, quite frankly. He's an amazing guy. He just has all this stuff in his head, you know, and he's constantly finding out new things. All right, guys. Last call for questions, and then we'll call it a day. And I'm going to try to go back to sleep. And appreciate your prayers and your support. Okay, so all right, yeah. And sorry I interrupted your nap, Greek Catholic, but it's good to have you with us. Okay, guys. Next chill stream, I don't know. We'll see how I feel. God willing, it'll be Thursday, but maybe not. So again, subscribe, like, hit the bell. Otherwise, you won't get a notification. And team stream, I'm going to see what I can do. Tomorrow should be a team stream. I don't know if David and William was going to do one without me, or maybe all three of us will. I might just sit there and look pretty while they do all the heavy lifting. Because, yeah, catch up on some sleep. I appreciate that, my friend. All right. Until next time, I'm Gary Michuta. Have a great day. Bye-bye.